Ms. Kerr?
Sure, I have lots of comments, some of which I had hoped to make during the discussion of reopening, so I'll abbreviate them, but there are some points I'd like to make, so I know it's late. I just wanted to pull back the lens on the work we've done here tonight. We have heard complex plans that aren't even half or a third or a quarter of the work that's being done behind the scenes. And the reality is we're in this situation because of a complete failure at the federal level to respond and contain a global pandemic. The current administration has been hostile to public schools from the beginning and is using every opportunity to undermine the system. We're heading into a school year and our federal government has not chosen to support or fund public schools at the level necessary to support safety for our students and staff. Every school district across this country is asking the same questions that we asked tonight and fighting for funding to support their students and families. I have the great opportunity and honor to be one of our representatives for the California School Boards Association and the Council for Great City Schools. And since the closing, I've participated in webinars, conversations with legislators, information sessions, legislative sessions, and general phone calls with school board members across this country. Large and diverse districts like ours, like Boston, Orange County, Florida, Minneapolis, Portland, Houston, Philadelphia, Indianapolis, Louisville. Some districts are not only dealing with this pandemic, but are the epicenters of social uprising at this time. And what I've learned is that the school districts are asking the same questions throughout the country. Digital divide, technology, school safety, reopening plans. It's all the same, and it's a pivotal moment in our education system. It has felt both reassuring and disheartening that the very questions and concerns of the students and parents raised here tonight are being brought up throughout the country because of a total lack of leadership at the federal level. I have a list of questions here that are questions that are identical to that were asked, but that was from Houston independent school districts, frequently asked questions in Minneapolis. And what I heard is we need to do better, and we will be better on communication. The second thing I wanted to say is I want to thank those who've reached out with their thoughts and concerns over the last several weeks. I have read every single email until about 12:45 today when our meetings began, and I've tried to respond to all. And what I heard in these emails are your stories, the stories of who you are, how you do your job, who you care for, the needs you have both personally and professionally. You've asked to be respected and listened to be trusted to use your vast professional knowledge and training, to be trusted as parents that you know what is best for your students. You've raised concerns about ventilation, technology, sanitation, screen time schedules, childcare, learning loss, special education services, bathrooms, your own health, the health of your colleagues. You're asking us to use data, research, health recommendations, and science in making our decisions. I also have heard that many of you have made sacrifices to stay healthy, that you worry about contracting the virus and taking it home with you, where you care for your children or your parents, that you live in multi-generational households, of which some of your members are medically fragile or have conditions that make them susceptible to illness, such as diabetes and heart conditions. Some of you are recovering from surgery or have partners who have had transplants. Some of you are experiencing high-risk pregnancies. Some of you have newborns. Some of you have lost loved ones due to COVID, and others during these last months, and were unable to be with them. You are single parents with young children and no workable childcare options. You're cancer survivors. You struggle with anxiety during these trying times. You are scared, frustrated, angry, really angry, nervous, and wanting clear, timely, and accurate information on what is happening in order to make decisions for your families. I have hundreds of emails, all that tell a unique story. So I will say again, what I have said in my responses is that I hear you and I'm listening. But I do have to say that I also heard a lot of otherizing, separating out people, many of whom you've known for years, and questioning their regard for children, health, safety, and education. Even going so far as to use quote marks when speaking about them, questioning the sincerity and the skill of the people who have been working continuously since this crisis began, who also have never done their jobs under these circumstances. There were references I can't say that one because it was hard to read, and so I can't read it again. We've been told we're marching children to their death, putting the nail in your coffin, and I have been sent images of coffin and other things to my non-work related accounts. It's really hard for all of us right now. So I just want to make a clarification. The central office includes those who've been working on the budget, a technology department building platforms and handling data needs, a finance department that has been paying the bills and making sure employees are paid, an HR department who are working to support and train employees, and so many more that I haven't mentioned. Hundreds of employees that are doing the work that allows our district to function, again, in the middle of a pandemic. So just a bit of a reminder who they are, who our executive staff are, the people sitting in this room who have spent hours telling us what's next, or what the possibility of next is, which is only a fraction of the hours they've spent here. They live in Long Beach. They're alumni of our schools. They are parents of both current students and alumni. They have students with disabilities. They've been rec aides and college aides, classroom teachers, reading specialists, elementary teachers, math teachers, principals, counselors, vice principal, and coaches. They've worked in schools in every corner of this district. They are partners. They are the children of parents, both living and deceased parents. They're immigrants. They speak multiple languages. They like to ride bikes with their kids. They love to read. They are cancer survivors. They are reading books on equity and science fiction. And collectively, and I think I lowballed this, they've worked for the district for over 140 years. And they too are living and working in this global pandemic with concerns about their health, those they're caring for, all 70,000 students, their families, and the 10,000 employees in this district. And I don't say that because we want accolades and that we need to give them accolades for their work. I say this to rehumanize them to the conversations that I'm seeing happening in our community. We're living in a worldwide pandemic that is exponentially worse in our country due to a complete failure at the national level to contain it. The current president and administration have spent the last 3.5 years belittling, mocking, and undermining all who don't agree with them. And they've normalized the idea that if you don't agree with someone, you must be against them. And this discourse has trickled down to the very local level in my city, and it's incredibly troubling and disheartening. I have tried to be consistent and thoughtful in my response, although I know some don't believe that. These are complicated and unprecedented times that call on us all to work together in support of our students and the families we serve. One of the great strengths of our district and the greater Long Beach community and the cities we serve is our deep connection to one another that we heard so much about tonight, and the care and concern that we have for each other. I have not been perfect in this process, none of us have, and I promise that I will do better and that we will do better as a district to work for an equitable education for all students. Thank you.
Thank you, that was very well said. I'm glad that it was said. I agree with the sentiment. I agree with all of that. This has been tough on everybody. Dr. Benitez?
Yes, thank you. So I also want to acknowledge all the work that went into not just the presentation,